there's like a domino effect that happens when you realize you're gay, because we have these traditional expectations, the binaries. When you realize you're gay, forces you out of one of those nice pre-made packaged boxes. You're out of it and you're able to be like, what does this even mean? If someone asks, why are you gay, for example, I have fucking answers because I've thought about it. But if you ask a straight person, why are you straight? If you ask a guy why he likes a girl, can they answer you? A lot of the time, it's not a really deep answer.
Interesting.
You know? So it's because they haven't had that moment that made them zoom out and actually analyze and deconstruct everything.
Ooh. Well, hi. Welcome to She Comes with Baggage.
Hi.
I'm so excited you're here. I feel like it's been 3 months now that we don't know. Which is crazy. I feel like I just saw you after the fires.
This year is just like flying.
I know that it sounds like really cliche to say the older we get, the time flies by faster,
true.
But actually, where does the time go?
It's true. There's actually like a scientific reason for this.
That we're all like living life quicker? No, actually?
Yeah. So what happens is time goes by faster for like our perception of time goes by faster. When we aren't having novel experiences. So when we're younger, everything is like new and exciting and this, transformative. Like we go through so many phases, so many haircuts, so many interests, so many hobbies, like so many things. And so that makes time feel
interesting.
Shorter.
So the more mundane we live our lives, the faster it goes. That feels like it should be the opposite. Like the more bored you are, the slower it feels. But
no, I think that's why COVID was like a blip for people, and they're like, I lost 2 years because how you were waking up doing the same thing every day in the same place.
No,
there's nothing to break it up.
That's so true. Honestly, because I'm 33 now, and I'm like, I don't count it. I definitely am 31 max for sure. Well, okay. So tell me, you're from Los Angeles originally, right? Okay. Yeah. Do you? I guess is West Coast girly. Is that like your vibe or no? I mean, would you even say that? I mean,
I don't know.
California, definitely.
Yeah, I think California, I mean, like...
Because you're also giving New Yorkers sometimes.
Yeah, I think like my preferences and like taste and interests are much more East Coast.
Okay.
But when it comes to weather and like love for driving.
And like palm trees. And, got it. Yeah.
All that.
Well, tell me about your cultural upbringing. And because you have a Persian background, right?
So just my dad's side.
Just your dad's side.
So my dad is Iranian immigrant, Persian, full-blooded Persian, like back centuries and centuries. We actually have like crazy like family tree.
DNA thing?
And I'm... No, like actual like family tree, like handwritten type thing that's been kept for hundreds of years.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
And I'm in the middle of archiving all of our photos. Yeah. So I got some like crazy scanner. And
of course you did.
I know, because my dad he has all the family photos.
Yeah. No, you're good. It's a jungle out here.
He has all the family photos. And I'm like, I'm such a sentimental person. Yeah. And I'm like, he's not going to scan these. I know it. Yeah. So it's been this big homework project. And I'm like, so many boxes deep and there's still so many to go. But like some of the photos are just nuts.
That's
like
insane.
Literally 150. Like I don't even know how.
Really?
Like old
so
photos.
I get it now, because when I came to y'all's apartment and you were like packing for the fires, you had like sentimental boxes on boxes of photographs. For me, I have like a little sentimental box where I just throw like concert tickets, like wristbands that I'm never going to look at again. But okay, that makes sense. 150-year-old photographs is like, okay, that's Gotcha.
So I have scans of it. I even scanned every single concert ticket, because I was like, if it goes up in flames, I need to remember that I went to this show when I was 14.
Yeah, you have a digital copy of everything. And then that way you can remember if it's a mundane, afternoon and time is flying by, you had a good time once before. I got you.
So my dad is full, Iranian, came here when he was 18, I think.
Okay.
And then my mom is from the Bay Area. Okay. She's just, white American.
Okay, gotcha.
I still don't know how that happened.
You don't even know how they...
No, I do. I know,
okay,
but
I was like,
just mentally processing it. I'm just
life.
like, there's such opposites it still is mind-blowing to me that was a thing ever.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So do you still carry a lot of traditions from either side, from your family?
Yeah, I mean, I think my mom's side, like, there aren't any specific, like, cultural things, because it's just, like, American culture.
Like baseball or something.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I like barbecue and jazz music. Like,
That's pretty much all we have.
Yeah. So like that side of it for sure. I mean, I I really do have my like love of music and creativity and all that to like owed to her, because she was like, dance class, you want to do that? You want to learn this instrument? You want to, like, dragging me to jazz festivals, like music festivals as a freaking little kid, because she's like, no babysitter, you're coming.
Yeah. It's giving Bay Area for sure. I lived there for 5 years, and everyone was more eccentric, you know, quirky. Well, before, but now it's all techie. But that's totally.
But
different
I mean,
subject.
she grew up.
Yeah,
there,
she grew up, so it's different. Okay, gotcha. And so, what about your dad's side? Do you still carry a lot of heritage and traditions from that?
For sure. Okay. I mean, like, there's kind of two prongs to it. There's the like old world Persian cultures. Like we have Persian New Year that is like rooted in Zoroastrianism, which is the first religion like ever in the world, which is crazy.
That's amazing though.
Yeah, super fun. Love that. That's my favorite holiday.
And, I saw you posting about it recently, which is, I think it's so cool just watching, you know, how your family still ties that in as well. Or even just you, just how you were carrying that tradition. I feel like, I don't know if maybe I'm just speaking out of my ass, but I feel like our younger generations aren't really carrying traditions as much anymore.
Yeah, they aren't.
And I don't know if that's just the people I'm around, but I feel like you really were celebrating it. And I think it was really cool to even learn about it for myself, because it was something new that I had never heard of before.
It's really important to me. And also, I guess maybe that's also my sentimental side, but I'm like, I love having that. It makes me feel connected in different ways.
Absolutely.
And finding, I don't know, it's just like finding what that means to me.
Yeah.
What those celebrations and cultural things mean to me is really important. So there's all that. And I speak the language. I learned it growing like same time as English. So I speak Farsi fluently.
Okay.
That's a big thing. The food is a big thing. So like when I'm hanging out with my dad, I'll have him teach me like a new dish to cook. He's a big like Persian food guy.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is this interesting level of disciplined, uptight, conservative-ish, like intellectually whatever, you know, like everyone becomes a doctor and engineer.
Right.
Like that.
Well, I was going to ask you too if that was something that had an impact on your coming out story, and if that was something that was difficult, especially on the conservatism side or even the traditional side. What was that like? Let's unpack that box.
That's a big box.
Yeah, it's a big old box. We got an hour of time. Like, I want to hear all about it. Honestly, though, I haven't heard your coming out story yet.
Man, it's loaded.
Even though we've covered a lot of things in the past, but I'm curious now.
It's a loaded one. I guess, so I mean, like, I didn't know I was gay until I met my first girlfriend.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden it was like light bulb explosion. Everything makes sense. Oh my gosh, this is why I've, you know, never like connected with guys this way, and why I always got the ick, and I'm like, don't, you know, what, all of that.
Like an emotional disconnect kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. And I thought something was like wrong with me. Like, why am I not excited about these guys giving me attention the way like my girlfriends are, my like female friends, and, you know, younger. I didn't understand. And then I like fell hard for my first girlfriend, crazy. And it just, you know, all of that made sense. And so I guess like kind of important to the whole story is my parents divorced when I was 2.
Okay.
I really I feel like I grew up in 2 different worlds, and I had 2 different lives and 2 different identities.
Because your parents lived separately, and so you would split time kind of thing? Okay, got it.
So I'd split like half the week I'm with my dad, half the week I'm with my mom.
Okay, got it.
But my dad's, you know, home and life and way of raising me was traditional, conservative Persian.
Yes. Okay.
And man, there's no women in the family.
Okay.
He has only brothers. I have an older brother.
Fascinating.
It's a very different experience there.
Yeah.
And then my mom is like,
Bay Area musician.
She's like, you
free
be
spirit?
you. I want you to like be happy and like explore. What does this mean to you? What makes you happy? Like, what do you want to do? You want to like cut your hair crazy? Go for it. Like, no judgment. Half the time being in one place, and then half the time it was like really
did you feel like you had to code switch between your parents? Okay, I would imagine that it would almost be like living 2 different lives for yourself, not even just experiencing with parenthood, but kind of switching who your identity is a little bit.
For sure. It was really weird. Like I had my name is kind of a loaded topic.
Okay.
Because when I was born, my name was supposed to be Parisa. And in Farsi, that means angel face. Cute.
I'm surprised that's not your license plate back there right now. Imagine.
But that was supposed to be my name. And last minute, my mom changed it to have Lauren be my first name and Parisa my middle name because she wanted her culture represented.
Okay.
That didn't go down very well. Okay. They didn't agree on that before.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an impulse decision, but whatever. But because of that, anytime I was around my dad or my Persian family or any of that, everybody only called me Parisa. That's my name in that world.
Right.
And then my mom and everywhere else, I'm Lauren. And I remember I was in therapy like a few years ago, just like dealing with some deep shit. And this new therapist I was kind of like getting started with, she was trying to do some like inner child work. And she's like, well, what do we call, what did you go by? Who do we talk to as your inner child? Like, what was her name?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't answer that.
That's wild. Yeah.
And that was like
the
crazy.
Deepest level of like identity.
Yeah.
Unknowns, right?
I'm like 2. I'm split. It's like,
wow.
To not know like what is your name and who are you?
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, this is going to be a lot to get.
You're like, how much am I paying you an hour? Because I'm going to need a few more hours on this.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was very much like 2 different worlds. And so when I did end up meeting my first girlfriend and kind of exploring that, I wasn't like running around telling everyone the second I met her. I was just like, I don't know what's happening here, but I'm exploring it,
right. Okay. When was this, by the way?
It was 15.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's significantly young too. Also going through natural rebellion and of seeing what life brings, kind of thing. Like it also cutting your hair, everything, right? Whenever you're 15, it's like so different. So
I really went for it.
You're like, I really explored.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I hadn't told my mom. I was just like hanging out with this girl and she kind of thought we were friends. And then for Valentine's Day, I was really sick. And so I couldn't like go out and do what we were planning to do. And so she showed up at my house with like flowers and candy and like cute stuff. And so I go out to like get the stuff. And then I came back and my mom was like, that's not just your friend. Right. Is it? And I just like broke down crying and was like, I love her. I think I'm gay. I don't know. And she was like concerned in the way a parent would be concerned about who you're dating, not concerned in a, ooh, you're gay. It was, ooh, who's this person? Right. Like, oh, she's a little older than you. Okay. Is she a good influence? Is she, concerns that like a parent should have.
A parent should have. Yeah. Well, that must have been at least some form of relief. Maybe a little bit of a confusion of what was going to happen in the other. With your dad.
I didn't even plan on telling my dad.
Really?
It was not on my bingo card. It was not on my checklist.
Okay.
But this was also like MySpace time. And also I just like didn't think my dad would be checking up on me like that. I was not thinking.
Yeah.
So I had posted like pictures of me and my girlfriend and like we were, like being kissy cute, whatever. And I can't remember if my brother told my dad about that or my dad was just lurking or whatever. But either way, he found out.
Okay.
And it was a big like, you shouldn't be posting that stuff because people can see it. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. And it turned into a whole, thing of concern around how does this reflect on me, on the family, on the fuzz on my face.
I know. And there's one light bug in here. Of course, the one that came in. He's hanging out. He's like, I want to talk. I want to tell my coming out story. Well, I mean, I would imagine too, there's around 70-ish countries where being gay is still, identifying as criminalized. And so Iran is one of those places that, and so I would imagine that is also something that he grew up with and being told that is what the reality is for queer people. So I would imagine that was also
concerned about my safety. Is this going to make your life harder? Also grew up Muslim. I mean, well, half and half. My mom was Christian, my dad was Muslim. So I went to the mosque Friday, church Sunday.
Oh my God, so you really did.
Really, 2 worlds. Okay. Fun times. Yeah. So I think it was a combination of concern for me as a person, what that means for my life. And I think Persian culture, but a lot of immigrant cultures and a lot of families in general are concerned about what the kid is doing. How does that reflect on me as a person, as a parent?
Yeah.
Is that embarrassing for me? Is that shameful? All of that. So I think there was a lot of different things going on. And for many, many, many years, it was a don't ask, don't tell, denial type thing that was just danced around.
Okay.
And I also, like, I dated the most I mean, I guess I was part of the toxic thing. So I was in a lot of toxic, bad relationships.
Okay.
For a long time growing up. So I wasn't necessarily trying to be like, hey, here's my, like, partner that I'm excited to introduce you to.
Got it. Okay.
You know?
Which is also probably adding, I would imagine, to their fear of
totally.
And I guess into an intuition as a parent.
Yeah,
that
I would have been concerned if I was my parent. I would have been like, what
shutting
the fuck
this
is
shit
she
down.
doing? Hell no.
Okay.
I was at 21 saying I was going to get married, moved in with somebody, Tina's mom. Tina's original mom.
Yeah.
I got her with my ex.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Gotcha. Moved in together, had a ring, the whole thing at 21.
Okay. Wow.
And I told after a couple months, told my dad, like, I'm going to get married, and if you don't want to be part of my life, that's your choice. Like, I was going for it.
Yeah.
But that was because I had years of, like, it not being acknowledged.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, that didn't go well. Especially when it's a very, like, respect your parents culture.
Okay.
And so that was, like, that didn't go well.
Right. But did it take time? Like, what was that evolution like? is it still something that you had to kind of rebuild and redefine, or is it still a learning thing every single day? Because now, I mean, you're in a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
We'll go into.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that took years to, I would imagine.
It was this relationship that turned it around.
Okay. Yeah.
So prior to that, it was, no matter how hard I tried, it was, we don't talk about this. I would try and, like, cheekily bring up, like, Dad, I'm going to Pride Parade. You want to come? And he just, like, wouldn't acknowledge that what I said I was doing. And there was maybe, like, 1 or 2 times where I was going through a breakup or in a tough spot in a relationship, and I really wanted his advice, because I like, he's a brilliant person. He's so objective and pragmatic, and, like, he gives great advice in general, like, to so many people. He's, like, the go-to guy for so many people.
Okay. So you just wanted that
I
craving
just wanted
for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really just genuinely wanted his advice about something I was going through. But I'm like, this is the thing, like, he won't talk to me about, so what do I do?
Yeah.
And so I literally hit him up and was like, I know that, like, you don't like talking about this stuff. I need your advice. I'm going through a really hard time in my relationship, and I need my dad.
Yeah.
And he showed up. Okay. He showed up the next day, came over to my house, was like, what's going on? We played the pronoun game a bit. I think he had a hard time saying she, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But he was like, okay, I gotta get over whatever because she needs me.
Right.
And then after that, it was another, however many years of not talking about it.
Okay.
Not acknowledging. And then when Ash came into the picture, very early on, I was like, this girl's gonna be in my life for a long time. And she's also somebody that I'm really proud and happy to, like, introduce to people, because she's wonderful.
Amazing. There's almost no, I guess, like, hesitation or even fear or shame. Because I think sometimes when you go into relationships, deep down, it's, like, not really going to go anywhere. So you're like, I don't really want to introduce it to everybody. And then it's like a whole thing. But I guess with y'all, very early on, it was very different, right?
Yeah. Okay. I knew, like, whatever happened, she was a great person that any parent would be like, oh, she's great.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
So she was in town for my birthday, and we were doing, my dad was trying to make, like, birthday plans to do, like, birthday lunch for, the family. And I was like, oh, great. Well, my partner's in town. I want you to meet her. I'm going to bring her. And it's been so long at this point that I'm like, we're going on 20 years here, bud. Like, it's old news.
Speed a little bit.
Yeah. And he got dicey about it and was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And was like, well, it's just family. Like, and I'm like, well, she is my family, and it's my freaking birthday.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
So I was like, what the hell? And I hit up my uncle, he's like the most, like, hardcore practicing Muslim in the family. And he's my dad's older brother, and he's very conservative-ish, but, like, you'd think he would be somebody that's, like, very stern and, like, hard about things.
Yeah.
But he's at this, like, incredible place in his spirituality that's very love and acceptance oriented.
Which ironically is to my understanding, what religion should be about, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that is, it's so interesting and I've heard that from many people who've come on here too, like talking about either their family or their own experiences with it, of being like, I've become religious or gotten more in tune with my religion, and I feel a sense of love. I'm like, that should be the reason. That's the whole point. But it's
like an
interesting,
unlearning,
right?
that people have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You
know, what we're taught a lot in these organized religions is you know,
true,
not what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah, absolutely. So then that was almost an influence for your dad.
So he basically was like, he helped me strategize.
Okay.
Because I was like, I want him to be open to this, and I don't know what to do. And doing what I did when I was 21, being like, it's this or never talk to me again, whatever the hell I was saying. Like, that's not helpful. What is my goal here, and what's the best way to get there?
Yeah.
And he gave me some great advice and was like, you know, why don't you set up some time for them to like hang out, just to meet. Don't push the birthday thing. Just let them meet a neutral territory. Have them like come over for tea, and they can just like hang for a little bit. Okay, that's a step. That's a step. I can do that.
Yeah.
My dad was down.
And
I was like, okay, this is happening. This is happening.
Yeah.
And so when he was coming over, of course, I'm fucking nervous because I'm like, oh my God, this is happening.
Yeah.
They immediately get along. They're sharing animal videos. They've got, you know, she's cracking jokes and being Ash.
Yeah.
And, you know, they hug it out, and he leaves, and I break down crying because I'm like, I never thought this would happen. Oh my God.
I love that though.
Yeah. Now
it kind of opened the door for everything, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
She's just like, you know, any family things we do, she's there.
Yeah.
It's, you know, Persian New Year. She's, you know, everything.
I think it's, and I don't know, I can't speak for every family, but I think also that's the beautiful part about representation, or just even having an introduction to different people and diversity, because a lot of times people's fear is rooted in just not having the opportunity to learn, or not being
it's a boogeyman.
Yeah,
it's
like
fucking boogeyman.
Not having the opportunity to have a neutral zone to be like, I can go and talk to this person or whatever that might be. Because I think most times when you meet someone that's different than you, you will find things that you have in common.
Totally. And it's disarming because those like preconceived things you have.
Yeah.
They're like built on, you know, just other shit that's not real.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, if there is somebody listening in right now and they're kind of going through their coming out story, what would be something that you would give them as a piece of advice?
Don't lose hope, because it took 15 years for that change to happen. Yeah. And I never thought it would happen, and it did. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So I really think, actually my uncle, the older one, he gave me some amazing advice, because I came out to him later. I came out to him in like 2017. Okay. Because I was dating somebody that was like, you know, in the public eye, and it was like on fucking E! News that I'm out and about with this person. Okay. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I can't have that be the way he finds out. Yeah. That feels like disrespectful.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I was like, hey, I need to tell you something. I'm sweating. Yeah. I'm like so scared. And I'm like, I'm dating somebody, and you know, you might find out about it. And I just wanted to tell you, I want you to hear from me that like it's a woman. And he's like, okay, so what's the problem? And I was like,
this is great. Why am I even sweating?
And it turned into this like long conversation of, do you need, you know, help? Like, is your dad okay with this? Right. Like, where can I be helpful in this process for you, and where can I be supportive?
I love that.
And some advice he gave me, because at the time my dad still was, you know, not excited about it. Yeah. One thing he said was, anytime there's maybe concern around whatever's happening, just remind him / whoever that you're not going to do anything to embarrass the family. That's not your intention. Yeah. You're not going to harm yourself or anyone else. And the only thing you're doing is trying to have a shot at happiness in this like crazy ass world. Yeah. And as your parent or family or somebody who loves you, their priority should be you being happy. Yeah. That's the only choice. Is it happiness or a life of misery? Yeah. Are you going to tell your kid to choose like misery?
Yeah, right.
And that's the only choice here.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. I mean, it's so true. And it should be, that easy as for a lot of time. And I'm so happy that your dad, even though it did take so long, I'm happy that he eventually got a chance to meet someone. Obviously, he sees y'all now, and it's like so pure and just beautiful in general. And also, Ash is like, it's really hard not to like Ash. So you know what I mean? Like, it's just
she like pokes
she's dad
at him
energy.
too.
You know what I mean?
She has
dad energy. When I came out, it was a whole process. I really
your backstory is nuts.
It's crazy. I mean, I grew up in a super religious Baptist background, and so for me, coming out was just already tough. My immediate family, my parents were like, okay, like, I just want you to be happy, which I found was interesting. At the time, I found it as acceptance. Now I see it more as tolerance, because they never actually wanted to know anything.
Right.
They were like, I don't want to talk about it. At the time, that was good enough for me. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, you just never actually wanted to know. That's a different story. But it was funny. I told my sisters, and they were like, yeah, we know that. And I was like, why didn't anyone tell me?
Yeah.
Why did y'all wait for me to find out for myself? She's like, I thought you knew. I'm like, no, I didn't know. But anyways, I told my immediate family, because I was like, I just want y'all to know.
Yeah.
But then that was enough vulnerability for me. I went on Facebook and I said, I think, what did I say on Facebook Messenger, like on the status?
Yeah.
This is so aging right now.
No. Girl, I said like, MySpace, okay?
That's fair. You win. No, but I literally went on Facebook and I said, I just want to let everyone know I'm gay. Boom. YOLO. I said YOLO. Exclamation point, post, and
done.
Did it. I was like, I don't want to have to go to every single person and tell them, oh my God, it sounds miserable. But I did it that way. Luckily, I had good responses. I don't know, people probably said stuff behind my back, but I was like, that's the joy of the internet.
Yeah, you don't have to know.
I don't have to look at you ever again.
Not your problem.
Not my problem. So now every couple of years, Facebook will be like, have you seen this post from
oh my God, reminder, throwback, memories.
Memories. It's like, ooh, cringe. Okay.
Oh my God.
Was there a next step for you telling everyone? Or?
Yeah, I just naturally, I think so in my immediate family, like on my dad's side, like I said, he has brothers. He has 3 brothers. And like the first one I told was in 2017, so I waited a long time on that. But it was also because there was no reason to like put myself through that.
Right.
And also like, I don't know if it's my culture or my family, but like we don't really talk about personal things.
Okay.
It's very like, how's work? How's school? The end.
Yeah.
You know?
Did that ever have, I mean, not even as a coming out story, but did that ever have, I'm realizing now that I'm like, I love a self-help book. I'm realizing now that same, my family, and I think this is to do with love languages too. We're not touchy-feely. We're not tell me about your life. We're not tell me about your feelings. So I feel like now that I'm older, I'm like, that's all I crave. Like I want to sit and like physically touch and
in me.
Yeah,
like,
let's
care.
Have an emotional conversation.
Yes.
Just like that is what I crave. Is that something that you feel like has kind of evolved through
for sure
between childhood and now? Or
I mean, they're still kind of like that, but I've at least like with my dad, I've learned to and people in my life, I've learned to communicate like, hey, I need to hear this, or I need you to ask questions about my life. Yeah, I need you to like show interest. If I share something, don't just say okay. Like when me and Ash were like deciding to like get rings, my mom, her parents, everyone's like, gagged. Yeah. And he was just like, oh, okay. Yeah. And I was like, and then changed the subject. And I was like, hello?
Yeah. You're like, this is a big moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was so confused by that. But then I was like, this is just how, certain people operate. And like, he's going to take that information and process it however he needs to. And I'm not going to take it personally. But at this point now, I know how to communicate like, hey, I need you to give me a little bit more here because even though I know you love me because you show me in your love languages because that's all you know how to speak here, I still need you to learn a couple words of mine.
Maybe some enthusiasm, just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little tiny bit. Yeah.
In past, we've talked about like a lone wolf situation. What did that feel like for you? And then how did you kind of find your own sense of community outside of your family? Is that something that's ever growing as well? Yeah, like heavily. I think because like, I grew up between these two worlds. So like both my parents were, when I was with them, they were like in single parent mode. Yeah, okay. And so both of them would be, working or
doing whatever, and they were still present, but like, you know, they're working and busy.
Yeah.
And I do have a brother, but like him
Older.
and I,
Older? Okay.
Our relationship's, you know, interesting at times. We're not super close, and then sometimes we'll be really close, and then it's like we're not talking. You never know. Never know.
I'm the same with mine.
Yeah.
My sisters sometimes, so I get it. Yeah.
But he's also ADHD hyper focused on his thing. So like when we were growing up, he was like deep in video games, and that's all he would do, and he wouldn't talk to anyone. He would just be playing video games, and like that was it. So I spent a lot of time like by myself.
Okay. Yeah.
And I tried to make friends, and like I would kind of have friends here and there growing up, but I also got like heavily bullied, and I felt like very rejected from friends I was trying to make.
Okay.
And like I never fit in.
Was it a sense of like homophobia at this time, or was it just being a
just
kid?
Me?
Like that's just you.
That's which that's really fucking sucks even more.
Like, I don't mean to laugh. That's not funny, but I'm just like, that's so sad.
It's just me.
Because I feel like it's hard. I mean, you're just being you, right? And kids are fucking assholes.
Kids are the worst.
Kids are so mean.
They're the worst.
Also, when you're trying to just navigate being a child, anyways, and then you have people being bullies. That's crazy. I feel like, weirdly, I've tried to think about this. I love a high school movie. Like, I don't know why. But I go back, I'm like, I don't think I experienced bullies like that. But did you, I mean, was it really terrible?
I mean, I was bullied from like elementary school through high school.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was still like, man, what the fuck?
Is it just because you were having trouble finding people with similar interests, or just people needing something? That's really, I mean, I feel like it's terrible, and it's also carries into adulthood too, right?
Yeah. I really I wish I knew what it was, and like maybe I was just weird and different, and I'm not somebody who's good at assimilating in general.
Yeah.
Which like has paid off in a lot of ways in other parts of my life. Even if I wanted to be like everyone else, like, and I tried my hardest, I still wouldn't do it quite right.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think I was just always like a little different and a little quirky for whatever reasons. I can't even tell you what things they were, but I just know I
experienced bullying. Yeah.
I had like a group of 3 of us.
Okay.
That were my friends. And some days the like main like Regina George type girl would decide it would be funny to just like have everyone shun me. So they would literally like for no reason would just act like I didn't exist.
Wow.
So I would be like, hey guys, I'm here. And they would just like act like I literally didn't exist.
And that was just a fun game for them to play.
Yeah. It was
insane.
Insane.
You know, like that, I just feel like that's terrible. I could never like wake up in the morning and decide I'm going to hurt someone today.
I mean,
emotionally or mentally or anything, you
those
know?
People though, like I know that girl, like that main girl, she was definitely suffering in her own way. Right. Like her parents clearly like neglected her in certain ways. They had a lot of money, but like I'm guessing just she didn't get the attention that she needed.
Right.
And so that was the only control that she could have.
Yeah.
And it made her feel better.
Right. So what does community mean to you now, and how did you go about finding that over the years? To be honest with you, I feel like that was my hardest thing about moving to LA. I think the older I get, the harder it is for me to make friends. Like,
it's
and
hard.
I know that sounds really lame, but
no, it's so hard. Everybody experiences that, and people like act like it's not normal. Right. Someone talks about it. It's so normal.
When I was in high school, I feel like I had a lot of group. I was always very extroverted and everything, but then COVID happened, and I don't know. I still love talking to people, but now it's just like less big groups, right? I just really want a small group. But I feel like, it's really difficult to meet people that I really connect with. I think that's why we all connect a lot. We're vibed. I think we went on a double date when we first met, and we stayed there for like 4.5 hours, and they were like, y'all gotta go.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
We're like, we're talking about ghosts and spirits. Leave us alone. But I think that when I meet other people who I feel like we can actually connect with, and I think that's the thing too. I'm like craving more than just a surface level conversation. Same, like I can only talk about the weather for so long.
Literally,
or
I don't
like
give
crypto.
a fuck.
I really don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So I don't know. So how did you go about, finding your group, your community? I
think up throughout high school, like I would go through periods of having like a best friend.
Okay.
And I'd be tight with this person, and we'd have our very close friendship, and then for whatever reason that would cycle, and but I never felt like I had a group, and I always wanted to have a group, but I still don't really have a group. Honestly, I don't. I connect with like individuals a lot more, and then like sometimes I'll wrangle all of those individuals for like my birthday or something, but for the most part.
Or cookie making.
Yeah,
you've done the cookie making.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
it's very wholesome.
Yeah, because I'm like, I want to like I want that feeling of community and gathering, and that's especially when you get older. It's like so hard to have those excuses to get together and bond.
Yeah. Well, I mean, growing up, if you played sports, you were always around people. If you had extracurricular activities, you were always around people. But when you're an adult, you have to like actually make the conscious decision to sign yourself up for things or bring people together. And then a lot of things that I've noticed with LA is a lot of people, and myself included, I'm really bad about it. It's like, oh, let's hang out sometime.
Never happens.
And then it never happens. So, or it's like, okay, well, I'm free in 2 months, you know? And so, I feel like I'm trying to get better about that.
One thing that I've started to do, because like it's a constant thing. Like I've definitely like had times where I've found community and like built, you know, more of my chosen family and have whatever closer friendships. Especially now, it's like everybody's so busy.
Yeah.
And it's so hard, and it's like, are you free in 2 months? Because I don't. And I'm like, I'm done with that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing right now? Want to come over and sit on the couch?
Yes. Oh, honestly, and that's what I love to do. I'm like,
that's the best stuff.
Like, I think last time we were like, let's go do a movie night. And then I think we just ended up talking the whole night.
Yeah,
and I was
you guys came over and we like sat on the fucking couch.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what I'm here for. I'm here for that. And every now and then we'll get around to a board game or something. But I really just want quality time, I think, you know? So,
and we do that as kids. Like that's one thing I really miss. And like I'm making more of an effort to do, and like telling people like, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Because when you're kids, it's like, hey, you want to come over after school?
Yeah.
Or like,
I'll ask mom, you want to play mermaids?
Or it's like, is someone come out? Can they come outside and play? Like, it's like impromptu hangs that are low pressure.
Yeah.
And don't require you to plan a whole, you know, it doesn't need to be this whole expensive dinner. It doesn't need to be this whole extravagant event.
Yeah.
That takes planning and adds stress when we're already stressed and have a lot on our plates.
No, absolutely.
But I'm like, hey, come over in sweats, sit on my couch. I've got some snacks.
Yeah.
Even come over for coffee.
Yeah.
Like, come over for an hour.
Right.
Or like, I'm down the street from you. Are you home? I'm just going to like come say hi.
I love that.
That stuff I think is so important, and like finding that time to do the mundane shit. And the stuff that like allows for real connection, like real quality time. That's not, we're distracted, you know, at dinner with like a million people. Right. You know?
And I don't think even quality time is, to your point, it's like, I don't think you need to go in Los Angeles. It's one of those things where you go and drop $500 on a dinner. You don't have to. I feel like sometimes it's just about going and finding little things to do. You can find some wholesome things to do, you know. I think it's
want to go to the grocery store, like
I saw this TikTok the other day that was like, girlhood is so funny, because here I am just hanging out at the Apple store when my friend buys a phone, and I was like, that's so cute and wholesome for no reason, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that is part of what adulthood is. It's just, let's just run errands together.
Yes, like we have to do it anyways. We might as well. I love it though.
In social media, I know you talk a lot about relationships, but then also mental health, and then finding, you know, that balance. Whenever it comes to like protecting your peace, and especially with somebody that's experienced bullying or people making you feel lesser than, what would be, you know, a piece of advice when it comes to protecting your peace?
I mean, it depends in what context, I think. Yeah. If it's like with your family, that's one thing. If it's with your partner, it's another thing. If it's with social media, it's another thing. Like
that's true.
There's so many different areas where protecting your peace maybe looks different.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think there's a way to do things that is strategic and sustainable. With family, for example, my strategy with my dad before, for example, that was like, well, you accept me or I'm losing your daughter.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That wasn't a good strategy.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
It wasn't good. I wasn't thinking about what is the goal here.
Yeah.
And what's the best avenue to get there.
Right.
And so if the goal is feeling peace and like I'm on the highway of life or whatever. Right. Sometimes you have to like take the detour and get off. Yeah. To get to where you're going without getting in a freaking accident.
Yeah, true. No, it's so true.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think being really aware and getting ahead of things before it gets to a point where you are, where you're super triggered or spiraling or whatever. I guess like kind of similar. It's like I get really overstimulated. I guess I also used to have trouble with like social situations.
Okay, yeah.
So I would feel like I really need to like mask up, like, let's go be social now.
Yeah.
And I'd have to really put on a show, and it would burn me out really bad. And I would just feel like I couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
Or I would shut down in the middle of, you know, a social situation. Then I'm like, oh my God, I seem weird. And like everyone's looking at me, and like they're going to think I'm weird, and they're going to talk about how weird I am.
It sounds like almost like an imposter syndrome in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So now what I'll do, or any kind of like struggling I may have that might make me uncomfortable, I'm just straight up about it.
Like I'm feeling uncomfortable, or I need to take a second kind of thing.
Or even I'll like go ahead of it. If, I don't know, say I'm going out to a dinner. Say I'm going out to like a big $500 Los Angeles dinner with a group of people, and I'm just like having a rough day mentally, or like with sensory stuff. Heads up, I'm like a little on edge here. So if I like shut down a bit, don't worry about it. I promise I'm fine.
That's nice.
I just need a minute. Or if I put my earplugs in, like just don't mind me. I can still hear you. I just like, you
need
know,
a second. Yeah.
Just need a second. Or with my dad, I'll get my family. Hey, I'm having, you know, I'm really exhausted, and like there's certain stuff that I can't handle today, conversation wise or topic wise or whatever. And I guess that's the thing, is with all of the stuff, protecting all the peace, no matter what the context is, I set the boundary or the expectation, or this is how I can show up before the situation even happens. Good idea.
I think it's also, I mean, it's such a clear line of communication with your loved ones, whoever the loved one is, right? And also with yourself. I feel like you're being so self-aware of how you're feeling in that moment. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I get excited anxiety. I don't know if that's a thing, but like if I'm in a social setting and there's so much happening, I always say I have excited anxiety right now, where I just feel so overwhelmed by so much excitement that it like makes me have like high blood pressure and everything. And then I'm like, I can't talk to people. I can't look at you in the eye. And I feel like I have to remove myself almost from it. Yeah, maybe that's probably a better way. I'm like, I have anxiety. I'm just really excited.
Yeah, it's a lot of input happening.
Yeah, and so that's a good way of saying it. Just like having that, because also people can't read your mind, and then they start to overthink. Like, did I do something?
Yeah,
do I need to have a talk? And it's just like a spiraling mess. So that's a good point. No,
you just put it out there before it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Then if and when it happens, people already know what's up.
Yeah, and then they can show up and support you better.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or if they're like, hey, this isn't like a good time for me, I'm gonna, pull out.
Right.
Everyone knows what's happening, and it doesn't have to be an issue.
Right. So if you ever need an Irish exit, that's a good way to do it. Just be like, I gotta go. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Well, I want to learn about DJing and how you got started in music. Where did that begin? Do you have like an early memory of falling in love with music? I know you said your mom a little bit. Where did that come from?
So I was like a dancer from like age 3 till, I don't know, like 20.
Okay.
Competition teams nationally. I was like, that was my thing.
Okay. What kind of dancing?
Ballet, jazz, contemporary.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Do you still got it now? Can you?
I take ballet classes sometimes.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, because I really missed
impressive.
it. I had it for like a decade, and I went back and I was like, "Oh, she's rusty."
You got it.
But like, I missed it so much.
That's amazing, though.
But that was a huge part of my life, and it was also a huge escape for me and a mental release for me. Because like I had I feel so bad for little me sometimes, because like I had such extreme anxiety and stress and didn't know what it was, because we didn't talk about that stuff before.
Right.
I would have like horrible stomach pain from stress and anxiety, and like I just thought I was sick, and I would go hide in the nurse's office.
Really? Yeah.
Constantly, or like hide in the bathrooms, or I would like have lunch with my teacher because I was just so like unwell.
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
Which I'm sure doesn't help with the lone wolf feeling as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dance was something that got me through those like stressful times. It was just a place where I could turn my brain off, and I could control something. I was controlling how I moved my body and how I expressed, and I connected to music in a different way.
Yeah.
In dance class, because you're in there for an hour and a half, and your dance teacher's playing whatever music they like / want for the first half hour, 45 minutes for you to like stretch and warm up. And then you have the, choreography portion. And so I got really connected to music from that. And then...
I would imagine too, when you're dancing, it's creative expression, but I would imagine, I'm not a dancer, I'm not very good at it. You don't want to see me dance, but I would imagine you have to really be in tune with the music. You have to be really in tune with not just the sounds that the music's making, but how it's making you feel, right?
Exactly.
In order to actually become a truly free dancer, I would think.
That was a huge thing. And then once I got to the age where like I wasn't trying to be a professional dancer, there weren't classes the way there are now where it's like, you see people on social media, like whatever studios having a good time. It was very like, so you have the younger under 18 dancers that are doing whatever, and then if you want to continue, it's because you're going pro, like you're trying to be a pro dancer. And so because I wasn't doing that, I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere in the dance world anymore. Okay. And I was still heavily into music. I'd started like sneaking out to clubs when I was 15. Okay. Because all my friends were like older lesbians.
Around 15. I see the 15-year-old you.
I really put my parents
through it. Explored at 15. Okay, I got it now.
I did. But I was coming out here and going to clubs and like experiencing DJ culture in a different way and music in a different way. Then once I stopped dancing and I was like, in these different music scenes out here that were doing really different stuff than your normal like radio DJ at a bottle service club. Right. I was so fascinated, and I'm like, I love how they're expressing themselves through the music they're making and the selections. Okay. Yeah. And it seemed like a completely different way to express myself through music. Okay. That kind of took the place of what dance did for me. Right. Scary, but like fun.
But also amazing. Like also being, like in a male-dominated field typically. Yeah. It also must be another level of like, Yeah.
It took a while to like, it took me a minute to get the courage to even like buy the gear and really try it, because I didn't see girls doing it. Okay. And so I was even more scared to try. Sure. Yeah. I would have been learning even earlier.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I would imagine, because now you are actually helping more people learn because you're teaching, right? So where did that love of teaching come from? Is it because you wanted to be kind of the representation you didn't have?
Yeah. And also, so my dad's a professor. Okay. And so when I'd be on dad time with him and he maybe had classes, I would always sit in his classes and like be his TA for all of his, college students, and won awards for being like professor of the universe. Like he's advisor of the year like 90 million times. Okay. Like,
so it makes sense where you were saying before, we're seeking advice through him. It was like it's natural for him.
Totally.
Right?
Like that's his thing. Yeah. So I experienced the joy and value that comes from teaching and like helping people. And then I've learned so much the hard way that let me pass that on to people, and also let me demystify it, because first of all, it's super expensive. I mean, now it's way less. Like the barriers are almost non-existent now. But before it was like minimum you're dropping a few grand to get turntables and a mixer. Okay. And then this was lessons being all on YouTube. It was, and even with lessons on YouTube, good luck finding where to start. Yeah. Or having someone answer your questions and bashing yourself in the head because you don't know why something's not working.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also it was just in between touring, and I'm like, my friend worked at a music school and he's like, hey, we need a DJ instructor. Like, do you want to do it once a week? And I was like, yeah. And I really enjoyed it. And they were co-ed classes. And I noticed a huge difference between how the girls and the guys approached doing something that they were bad at and didn't know for the first time.
Is that in a sense of like a psychological approach or an emotional approach, or both?
Psychological, for sure.
Interesting.
I mean, I think it's like societally imposed stuff. But we're here because we suck and don't know. Yeah, of course. You're all going to suck. That's part of learning something new. You're going to suck for a while. Yeah. Buckle up.
But, is that the intro? Is that how you start your class?
Actually, yes.
I love that. Because I've actually wanted to take your class. I feel like it would be so fun.
It's so fun.
I just want to try it. I'm not going to, I don't know if I'll ever make anything out of it. But I think it'd be so fun to try it.
Yeah. I mean, like I'll do these one-day workshops sometimes, which is actually where I met Ash. And it's like 3.5 hours. Yeah. And by the end of the day, people like understand the basics of why, and they're able to like at least do a simple mix.
Which is exciting. I feel like whenever people talk about hobbies and stuff, it's not like you have to go professional in the hobby that you're doing. And I think you were saying this before, and I really liked it. What you were saying is kind of going back to that little kid you, right? Yeah. Going and kind of pouring yourself into creativity. And like, that used to be all of us. We used to have our imagination. We used to draw, and the drawings didn't have to be good, and finger paint or whatever it might be. But there's somewhere along the line where becoming adults, we then had to monetize it, which means we had to be good at it, which means if you put yourself out there, people are like, this is cringe, don't do it. So you just don't do it. And then it's just like, oh.
But and you only have so much energy. So you're like, okay, well, am I going to put energy into something if it's not going to make me money?
Yeah, right. And then it's capitalism. You know what I mean? We need another hour for that.
I know. God.
Well, I do want to ask you, because you talked about Ash, I want to ask you about relationships. I feel like I love this topic. And also, I mean, I feel like this is something you speak on a lot about untraditional healthy relationships. Well, first, how did y'all meet? And then tell me about how it's different, how it's like changed your perception of love.
Yeah. The DJ workshops that I do. So I teach one-on-one lessons as well for people. It started by me doing these charity DJ workshops that were for women and queer people only. Because I wanted a safe space for people to learn, get to like touch gear and ask questions and feel safe being bad.
Yeah.
Feel safe sucking.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. So, which is hard to do sometimes.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it was like, let's find a safe space where everyone can suck and like meet other people that also suck. Yeah. And we'll laugh about how bad we are, but we'll have a good time and learn something new.
I love that though.
It breaks the ice. Yeah. You know, it breaks the ice of learning something new. So I was doing one in New York, and my best friend at the time, I was like, hey, can you post this? And she was like, oh, my friend wants to come. Can you make sure she gets in? Like, you approve her? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
And I guess Ash had like just gone through a breakup, and she's such a hobby girl.
Okay.
She's like, I'm going to do rock climbing now. Now I'm really into this and now that. Like,
when I went and got coffee with her, she was like, do you rock climb? I was like, never done that before, but I guess I would try. But yeah, literally the same. Yeah.
She's like, gets really into like new things and throws herself into it, which is so fun. Love that. It's always something new. I had also just gone through a heinous breakup. Literally like a couple weeks prior to this thing.
Okay.
And so my friend Amanda was like, hey, by the way, so like my friend that's going to your thing, I think you'd be into her. And I was like, well, that's unfortunate because I'm never dating again.
Yeah.
So
right. You're like, I'm feeling broken right now. Thank you.
Yeah. I was like, not great timing. And then Ash walked in and I was like, well, maybe.
Yeah, like, I'm interested. I'll do one date. Rock climbing?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
One date turned into 5 days and me extending my trip. And
very queer of y'all.
Yeah. We really went for it.
Yeah. I would love to hear more. I think that sometimes with sapphic relationships, or there's a lot of codependency.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding boundaries with that, and why is that such a topic that you're passionate about?
I used to have no boundaries.
Okay.
I used to have zero boundaries.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, whatever you need, whatever I can do for you, if I can help you, if I can fix you, if I can give you this, if I can fuck my needs and my boundaries, if I do this, then you'll love me enough. I'll be worthy of your love, and you won't leave me.
Yeah.
And you'll want to be with me.
So it's almost from an ego standpoint, and or pride or people pleasing. Yeah. Okay.
People pleasing fully. And my self-worth was clearly in the garbage.
Yeah.
Because I thought I wasn't enough unless I ignored my needs and took care of somebody else's.
Right.
And so I, over the years, was in a lot of really, really bad relationships that were so harmful to me, and like, you know, just not good dynamics at all. And yeah, so I was like so tired of it after like one really bad breakup I had. I was like, I'm going to therapy, because at this point, like, I can't blame this on anyone. It's not about, oh, she did this to me. Why am I in this what's this pattern, and what is my role in it? Yeah. And how the hell do I reprogram this? Because I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired.
Like, I need a break.
Yes,
okay, got
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so I went to therapy, and we got to the bottom of where that came from.
Yeah.
And then once I healed that issue, I almost went the opposite direction, where I got the ick so quickly.
Really?
So quickly.
You were almost like shut down a little bit.
Yes.
As soon as they started showing codependency on you a little bit? Interesting.
Even like this much?
Yeah.
Ick.
Yeah, okay.
Fully turned off running. I shut down. I would like
it almost
avoid it.
And I don't know if this is if you're into the attachment styles. I know that's like a buzzword right now. But
no.
I feel
I've read all the books.
Okay,
so that was part of my whole thing.
Got it. So the
went
first time was anxious to avoid it. Okay, and so now I would imagine it's more on the secure.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely an avoidant. It's really a problem. I'm working on it.
It's hard. It's hard. Because like I used to flip flop. So I went from anxious to anxious avoidant, depending on who I was dating, in that transitional, like, I'm kind of healing, figuring it out.
Yeah.
So if I was with somebody who was a little bit avoidant or felt like unavailable to me in some way, but they were still there, that would make me anxious.
Okay.
But then if I met somebody who was like, hey, I want to be with you, I was like, whoa, back off. Why do you want so much from me?
But I think it's also, to what you said, it's like seeking validation in different ways. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're human. We all do it. And I feel like it's the same. Well, for me, it's not even just relationships-wise, but as people in general, the minute that I get the ick from people, friends, family, I'm like, I'll never see you again. Oh, wow. And I'm like, why do I do that? Sometimes people deserve it, but sometimes they don't. And I'm like, okay, how do you find a balance? Because as you said, sometimes it's like it's a protection.
Here. It's a defense mechanism. The avoidance is a defense thing.
Yeah.
Your internal system is like, whoa, alarm, intruder alert, and like the armor goes on.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true.
And it's like, I'm so glad that my inner self is trying to protect me. Like, thank you so much for doing that, because you weren't doing it before.
Yeah. I don't know if this is what you had grown up, but I was always taught fight or flight.
Yeah.
It feels like that. It's like if you fight, it's almost the anxious style where you're like, please don't leave me, I'll fight for this. But it's like flight is like, I'm out the door before you can even see anything.
Exactly.
It's very similar to that.
Totally.
But I love psychology. I feel like I love self-help. If you have any self-help books, send them my way.
I've got so many.
I always say that I feel like I'm leveling up my Sims character. When I read a self-help book, I'm like, I'm the next level. I'm more self-aware, and then it's then putting it into practice. But there's a really good book called The Body Keeps the Score. Okay,
which is I think essential reading.
Yeah,
psychological self-helpy stuff.
Okay,
the avoidant thing. It takes a minute.
Yeah,
it takes a minute to calm the fuck down.
You're like, I didn't just heal last week. Okay.
No, it took a while. And I literally feel like just the last couple of years, I'm finally like, okay, we're good.
Do you also feel, and I don't know if this is just me, again, going back to the aging thing, but I was like, I think because I was such a wreck in my whole 20s, like I was just not a human. Same. I was rebellious. I was an alcoholic. I did a lot of drugs. I was just under the sun, a little bit of hot fucking mess. And also, I ruined a lot of relationships, friends, family, everything. It was a lot. In my 30s, I'm now sober, and I am experiencing friendships differently. I'm trying to get more in touch with myself. I'm like playing with the idea of therapy in different ways. And I feel like 30s are now like the new peaking moment where I'm like, oh, I'm a human and I can do human things and not spiral. I mean, I still spiraled, but I'm just like, what does that mean for me? And how can we unpack this?
Yeah.
Do you feel the same?
For sure.
Okay.
20s were fucking rough. You couldn't pay me to do that again. You could not pay me
I'm
to
glad
go back
we did
to
it,
that.
though.
I don't know. I feel like we could have skipped a lot of that.
You're like, oh.
I could have skipped that.
Sometimes people are like, do you have any regrets? And no. You're like, a few.
Got a lot of them. Got a lot. God,
that's funny. Well, what are some green flags that you would say are in a relationship? Like something that you're like, this is a core value that you look for.
Somebody that is willing to work towards a team goal.
Okay.
Somebody who's able to put aside their ego. I think one thing I've seen a lot in all the couples I've seen that have issues, and a lot of couples in general, is it becomes about, well, my feelings are this, and my feelings are that, and this is what I want, and this is what I want, and, just butting heads and not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's this push and pull and push and pull. And one thing that alleviates that tension is, what is the best thing for us at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Because then it's not about me or you. It's not about my feelings or your ego or my ego or pride. All that shit is like, it's null, because the focus is, how are we going to operate best?
Right.
I need a lot of alone time, for example. Like growing up with so much solitude, I actually need it now.
Yeah.
I need it, or else I need it like I need sleep.
Yeah.
I just do.
Okay.
And
almost like a recharging situation.
I need to be able to shut down without the feeling of I might be interrupted.
Okay. Yeah.
So that means nobody in the house. I want to feel like I'm in a bubble.
Yeah.
For a chunk of time, and know that I will not be interrupted in that.
Yeah.
Or else I can't relax, because your body's in fight or flight, or like on alert mode.
Right.
I need to let the alert come off, because I'm in a safe zone.
Sure. Yeah.
So because of that, I know, like, in the beginning with Ash, like, it was hard for her to understand it, even though I said up front, like, hey, I'm somebody who needs a lot of alone time, so, like, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
It was a little bit harder for her to understand at first, and I know a lot of people experience it being a hard thing to give someone space.
Yes.
Because it feels like they're pulling away, you get anxious, you know, all this stuff.
Well, because each person's experiencing their own anxious attachments or attachment styles, right?
Yeah. So the attachment is getting flared up. And if I'm like, I need alone time and you're going like this, I'm going to be like, ugh.
Yeah.
Why don't you want me to have alone time? I'm just like, that's like saying I don't want you to sleep.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she understood that like, I'm a way better person and partner, and I can show up better in the relationship, and I have more energy and love to give, and I'm more open when I get that.
Yeah.
And so it's not, I don't want to be around you. It's, I need this to function.
Right.
And so instead of it being, well, you know, I need more attention and time and blah, 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 we're planning a vacation. And she's like, okay, so you know what? I think like maybe that week when we come back, I might go visit my family in New York so you have time to decompress. Like, she looks out for it now.
Okay.
When can I give you space?
Right.
Do you need space right now? I think you do. You're getting a little cranky. And I'm like, yeah, actually I do. Thank you.
You're like, you noticed before I did. But I think that's also goes back to the teamwork thing and being able to recognize when the other person maybe not even be able to, or maybe they do know, and kind of picking up on those cues. And again, not taking it to heart and not fighting or flighting it. And you don't have to always pick one or the other. You could just be secure and be like, I'm just going to give you some time. And also, I never needed alone time. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, it's kind of quiet for a second, but then I'm like, okay, I can have it back now. But
it's nice because then you get to like miss somebody as well. And who doesn't want to feel missed?
Yeah, exactly.
It's good for everybody.
That's true. Yeah, you're like, so this is good practice for all of us.
Yes, it's good for everybody.
I love that.
Having those conversations up front before, like, if you know certain things you need. Having those discussions before you're in an activated state of, you know, anxiety or whatever. Or avoidance. Having those conversations first, I need blah, 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 or else like I'm just not a good person.
Okay. Well, I think it's good that you're able to like have that communication though. You know, it's so important.
It's a game changer.
I would love to ask you, so you all also have combined hobbies. You have combined passions. And it's so cute and I love it. I mean, you just posted something recently about dating someone that has like a where y'all are collecting things together. So cute. But also I love that y'all both have I don't know, this sounds vulgar. It's not vulgar, but it's like you have a fascination with death and the afterlife and spirits and ghosts.
We just like spooky, like horror shit.
You're like spooky babies together. It's so funny. Like, and when we met,
oh my God,
I'm just gonna be so honest with you. When I met, I was like, I like them a lot. I want to be really cool with them. I want to be friends. Like, and I was like, okay, but I don't really watch scary movies. So how am I gonna do it? And I was like, I'm gonna train myself to watch scary movies so I can hang out with them because like Asha's so cool. I was like, I don't know. I just really connected with her as a person. I was like, I'm gonna like scary movies. I'm gonna do it.
Her level, her tolerance for scary movies. I'm like, it's some of those. I'm like, you got to watch that one on your own.
Yeah, it's next level. I was like, I've been in training, and I'm really proud of myself. That. Yeah, I'm gonna tell her now. I was like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. So it's funny when we went on a second double date. Y'all were like, what do you want to do? I told Christine, I was like, I'm going to put axe throwing, I'm going to put like movie theater, I was going to put like dinner, dates, like all this stuff. And in the middle, I put Museum of Death. And then I packed it in like a list of 20 things.
Should have known better.
I packed it and I was like, this is one thing that maybe they'll be like, I appreciate you thinking of. And y'all were both like, Museum of Death. And I was like, fuck.
Because we hadn't been.
I know. I literally, Christine was like, you knew they were going to pick that. I was like, yeah, you're right. I can do this.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous after reading the actual like reviews and descriptions. I was like, oh, wait, maybe this is like going to be too much for me.
I'm not going to lie. It was a lot. It was fascinating, though. It was fascinating. But then we talked about the afterlife and what it means to be alive. And it was deep. It was really deep. We didn't even just go to the museum. We were talking about like why we're on this big floating rock and what spirits mean. So I guess that segues into the next conversation of like, what is your relationship to religion, and what is your belief with like the afterlife and all the things spooky, all of those things.
I grew up going to the mosque and going to church, and I've always been somebody who questioned and asked why. Like I would get in trouble in Bible study and get thrown out because I'm like, why? That doesn't make sense. Why?
Me too.
How? Why? And they couldn't answer it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, faith and religion and stuff, it's not something that's based in like logic and fact. It is your own experience. It's, it's your internal belief system, which is totally fine. No shade. Like, you know, believe in what you want to believe in, whatever works for you, whatever guides you, makes you feel comfortable. Love that. Great for you.
Yeah.
I'm somebody that needs fucking facts.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that I'm like, I totally believe in, like ghosts and spirits and things like that. Because I've experienced stuff.
Right.
I'm like, that thing moved. I saw it move. Who turned on the fucking speakers? Why is it? What is that? Like, I've seen too many things so that I'm like, okay, there's definitely something there.
Right.
But when it comes to like organized religions and traditional like ideas of you know, God or whatever, it just doesn't work for me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I think there's some great like stories that can be told, and if people are following things in the way that they should be, then it's something that's full of like love and understanding and guides them. Yeah. But the majority are not that way. Majority is excuses for hate.
Sometimes it can be used as a tool of not control, but sometimes it can be. That's it. Yeah. And also, I mean, the older I get, the more I'm like decentering men in a lot of things. And sometimes with religion is deeply centering men at all points. Name one religion where women are centered.
Exactly.
And to me, that's always been hard. I remember being in school or at church when I was a very young kid, and they were like, everyone has to get on their knees and pray right now. And I was like, I don't want to. And they're like, no, you have to. And I was like, I don't have to do anything. I was young, very rebellious. I wasn't 15 yet, but I was like rebellious. They were like, no, you have to, or you're going to get kicked out. I was like, why am I going to get kicked out? Like, I'm supposed to be doing this in my own way. Anyways, ended up getting kicked out. And that's what was just spiraling why? Yeah. And same thing, they weren't able to answer why.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And I was like,
if you can't tell me why, then how am I supposed to believe you? Just because you say so? Because vibes is not a why.
Yeah, vibes can be sometimes. No, but actually, I think it was always fascinating. But it wasn't even like I don't want to learn about it. If anything, I was like, I want to learn about every religion.
Oh yeah,
and every
like,
culture.
I took theology classes in college. I have so many books. Like,
it is fascinating. I mean, I would be curious, like, your sense of spirituality or whatever that might be named for you. What do you look for in times of uncertainty or when you're looking for your own moral compass? Because a lot of people turn to religion. What does that look like for you?
When it comes to, I mean, I think because I've learned about so many religions, I get the gist of it. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, like, if I had to connect with anything more, it would be Buddhism. Yeah. That just, like, makes more sense to me and how my, brain and worldview functions. But compassion and detachment are the only things that bring me comfort. Yeah. So, like, if somebody, like, I'm talking about this girl that bullied me when I was a kid, and I could just get caught up on that and, like, hate her and talk shit about her. But I also...
What's her name? No, I'm joking. Where does she live?
I will say she was a fucking bitch. But I also understand why she did the things she did. And it wasn't about me. Yeah. I can detach myself from that. It wasn't about me. I just happened to be collateral damage in, like, her own journey of whatever she was going through. But I don't think it's just we're randomly floating. I think that... And maybe it's everybody else's idea of what God is. I think there's on a metaphysics level. Okay. I'm like that. I feel like those explanations to me are like people think God is, if that makes sense. So I'm like, there's some other different scientific realms and frequencies and things that happen. Yeah. And because of that, even like the way people are interconnected, like you think of somebody and then all of a sudden they pop up. Like, I don't think those things are just coincidence. I think there is like a scientific reason to it that maybe we just don't fully understand yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And a lot of people are like, oh, it's fate or it's God or it's this. And I'm like, okay, sure. But like that, maybe I don't think God's like a dude chilling. I think God is like, this
all things,
the interconnected weaving and how energy exchanges in our universe, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, I mean, this is very blanketed term. I think we're all really believing in something very similar.
Yeah, it just
and so I'm not going to be like, you're wrong. Yeah, I'm not. To me,
we give it different names.
A higher power isn't personified. To me, it's hard for me to picture a man again up there. I'm like decentering that. Yeah. But to me, it's hard for me to picture a person running everything. For me, it is an energy and it's a spirit. It's a feeling and it's emotions and it's connection to music and it's connection to frequencies, all of that. I agree with that. And so it's fascinating though. I mean, queer culture too. I think we're so at an early young age, questioning our lives in a lot of ways, where it makes us question everything. And I think sometimes heteronormative culture or they just don't have that option to question as much. So therefore, I don't know. But that's again blanketed.
It's like a domino. It's like there's like a domino effect that happens when you realize you're gay. Yeah. Because we have these like systems in our society that are all, you know, the traditional expectations, the binaries, like we've got all those set. And when you realize you're gay, for example, or you maybe realize you're trans or whatever thing happens in your life or identity that forces you out of one of those nice pre-made packaged boxes, you're out of it and you're able to be like, whoa. Yeah. What are all these boxes?
There's a lot of boxes.
I don't know about those. Yeah. And it makes you question it because you're finally out of one of them. Mm-hmm. And then it's a domino effect of, okay, well, what does this even mean? Right. And why do I like the people I do? If someone asks, why are you gay, for example, I have fucking answers because I've thought about it. Yeah. But if you ask a straight person, why are you straight?
They've never really thought about it.
They can't, most of the time, if you ask a guy why he likes a girl, for example, sex aside, can they answer you? Yeah. A lot of the time, it's not a really deep answer.
Interesting.
You know? Yeah. So it's because they haven't had that moment that made them zoom out and actually analyze and deconstruct everything.
Ooh, that was amazing. I mean, that was a perfect answer, really. And I think that's why, But I think, I mean, it's fascinating to see. Because also, the older I get, the more boxes I unpack, the more I find. And I'm like, oh, you know, like the things where it's
Russian doll,
where it's like this, and you're like, oh my God, there's another one. Yeah. Oh my God, I feel like that's me with life. And I'm like, oh, when am I going to unpack this box? I think that's also the fun part about it, too. Yeah. Yeah, well, I do have some funsy questions. I always wrap up every episode with just like really random, stupid questions. Cute. Would you rather DJ a toddler's birthday party with like 100 children or like a retirement home?
Retirement home. No question. Retirement home.
Why?
Screaming children?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And also like retirement home, like, yeah, they smell weird, but think about how happy... Like music is one thing that like is tied to our memory so deeply in our brain. So even if someone has like dementia and they hear a song, like there's like women who have like Alzheimer's, but she was a pianist her whole life and she can remember how to play. Like
it's giving the Notebook.
Yes.
Wait, that's really cute. Okay,
so that's
you're
a fun
like
thing to do.
Fuck these kids.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Whatever. They're not even gonna remember it. They're not gonna appreciate it.
Right. They're not gonna have those memories tied to it. What's a deal breaker in a relationship that's actually underrated? Like any deal breaker in a relationship.
An underrated deal breaker?
Yeah, maybe just like even an ick. What is like a random ick in a relationship that you're like, it's an underrated ick? For me, it's like if the person chews too loud. I'm like, I can't do it. That's an like underrated ick. I'm like, if I can hear you swallowing, it's not even that I care them. It's just that I can't unhear it.
I can't handle it.
I can't listen to it. But it's like not even a red flag. It's just an ick.
Burping in the car.
In the car specifically?
I'm not a big fan of burping. Yeah. It's just like something about it like is like hard for me. I have a very, very acute sense of smell.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm very sensitive to scent.
No. So if it's in a closed space.
I will die. Like I will fucking die. And I will have to like roll the window down and stick my head out like a dog. And I will hold my breath until I can do that. Because I can't. So like
that's
like if Ash like needs to burp for whatever reason, she knows to fucking roll the window down like, just like yes.
Wow, that's funny. I love that. I mean that's a solid answer.
We're all grown-ups at this point. You can hold it and think of the other person. Or or roll the fucking window down. Take a walk outside. Like, come on.
That's so specific. I love that. But it's true.
I don't want to have to smell that.
Here.
I just don't want to. I don't want to have to smell something that I don't want to smell.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's valid. That's valid. Where can people follow you on social media? Where can they find your music and follow all the next projects that are coming? And the new song that you just dropped.
Oh yeah. I just put out a song. Go stream that. Take me home. But I'm on all social media at I Am Kittens, and my website is iamkittens.com, and that has every link for everything you could ever want. If you want to lurk every article that was ever written about me, it's there.
Perfect. That's great. It's all in one place.
Yeah.
It makes it easy.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for coming to hang out. This is fun. We should do this more, aka like just more than every 3 months, you know? Yeah, we'll get better at it. But every 3 months is pretty good in adult world, I have to say.
It really is.
If anything, we're stepping it up. We're gonna do this more. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, I would love that.
But thanks for coming to hang out. This was fun.
Oh my God, thank you.
I feel like honestly, anytime we do hang out, we talk about some deep.
I know we're like certified yappers.
Yeah, honestly. And that's a wrap on this episode of She Comes with Baggage. If you love this conversation, please make sure to follow She Comes with Baggage on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content and behind the scenes moments. And if you're tuning in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other audio platform, don't forget to leave a review. I love hearing from you, and your support helps keep these conversations going. And just remember, if you are carrying any baggage, you're not alone, and we're all more alike than you might realize. See you soon.